This is What School Didn't Teach Me, a podcast meant to build community on all the things school doesn't prepare you for. Hi, I'm your host, Jasmine Kiamber, and class is in session. Hey, classmates, it's your host, Jasmine Kiamber, and welcome back to another episode of What School Didn't Teach Me. If you're new here, welcome. What School Didn't Teach Me is a space where we are here to create community. There are some things you can only learn in the school of life, and why would we learn about those things separately when we could learn about those things together? I'm Jasmine Kiamber. I feel like you'll get to know me as you continue to watch, because I hope you continue to watch. But I started this pod. Oh my gosh, it's almost been 2 years ago. So I started this pod a year and some change ago because I saw a whole bunch of people going through the same stuff, but nobody was talking about it. I thought that was pointless. I decided let's create a space where we can talk about all the things that we are growing through and learning through together. And thus, What School Didn't Teach Me was born. So if you're new here, I hope you enjoy this space. I hope you like us enough to stick around. We have a whole community on Instagram, WSDTM pod, What School Didn't Teach Me, POD pod. Yeah, and it's just been a really, really exciting experience to get to know y'all, let y'all get to know me, and I'm so excited to continue to see us grow. If you're not new here and you're an OG classmate, you already know how I feel about you, okay? You know I love you. I'm so glad that you're here, that you've deemed this podcast worthy to be listened to, not just one time, but multiple times. Make sure, if you haven't already, make sure to go subscribe. Make sure to follow, like, comment, all the things. Make sure to interact with us on all the platforms, because that kind of stuff matters. I never thought it would matter to me, but baby, it matters, okay? I want to continue to grow this community, and the only way I can do that is with your help, okay? I can't do this thing without you. Clearly, I'm excited today, y'all. I'm excited. One, let me say I'm excited because it's the fall season. And not only is it the fall season, but we about to roll into winter, okay? The real me is coming alive, okay? I'm waking up, I'm defrosting. I don't know if y'all remember me talking about in the summer. Like, the summer is cool and it's great, but it's a little too hot for me. I'm a hot girl, but I'm not a hot girl. You know what I mean? Like, I love the summer activities. I love going out, being active. This summer was actually really, really fun for me, but I don't enjoy the heat. I do much better in the cool, crisp breeze. You know what I mean? I thrive in that temperature. I can wear a sweatshirt. I can wear sleeves and be comfortable. I can not be worried about heat on the back of my neck. I can wear long hair and be okay, you know? In the summer, it's a little different. In the summer, I'll be a little more irritable, a little more self-conscious even, because I just don't like to be hot. So I'm very excited that we've officially hit the fall season, and that I can just be comfortable no matter where I go. But I think today has just been a really, really good day for me. So I pray and I really hope that today is a really good day for you. And if it hasn't been, don't worry. Even if it's 9 p.m., even if it's 11:59, it's not too late to turn your day around, because you have control and power over your day, right? You have control and power over your life. And so I pray that if you're not having the best day, that I be used as a vessel to encourage you on today and to brighten your day, you know? But yeah, I really, really hope and pray that y'all are having a good day. I hope that y'all are having a great morning, however you're listening. If you're driving, if you're at school, if you're at work, no matter what you're doing, if you're at home, if you're twiddling your thumbs, if you're actually scrolling on Instagram while you're listening to this podcast, however you decide to listen, thank you. I appreciate you. I love the fact that you're here with me today. Yeah. And I'm just really excited. Like, today has been a really, really good day. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh God, Lord, there are so many things I have to do today. Like, what, just show me where to lead. You know, sometimes I wake up and it's a whole to-do list and I feel a little overwhelmed. Not today. Today I woke up and it was like, it's a bunch of things on my mind. Let's conquer this day. And it's also daylight savings time. Sorry, I know I'm a little all over the place, but I want to acknowledge it's also daylight savings time. And I think that has affected me too, because now I wake up earlier. Like, I'll be up, and this might not be early for some people. I know some of y'all be waking up at like 4 a.m. I am not one of them. But I'll be waking up at like 6 o'clock, like fully awake. And I love that. Like, I want to get up earlier, but I don't think I go to sleep at an adequate enough time, which is something that I need to work on for myself. But yeah, like waking up earlier has really, really put me in a better mood. So yeah, life is good. Life is good. My life is good. I hope your life is good. And if it's not, you have control over it and you can make it better. And I just pray that you allow me to be used as a vessel to help you do so. This season, we've been talking about different ways to invest in ourselves. On the topic of making your life better, we've been talking about different ways to invest in ourselves. That's been the theme for this season. And every single month, every single episode, we've done a new topic on how we can better our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with our friendships, our relationship with just the different areas around us, like our money, our physical health. This month, we're talking about our mental health, right? And we've talked about mental health multiple times before, right? We've talked about therapy. We've talked about the benefit of getting certain things out of your system. But we've even had a conversation about men's mental health specifically, you know? But there are so many different ways to... Mental health is such a broad topic, and there are so many different aspects of your life that ultimately contribute to the state of your mental health. I feel like it's a topic that you can never grow tired of, because every day it's something new that you can see, like, oh, okay, when I do this, I feel better. You know, when I do XYZ, I've learned a new trade. It helps me relieve stress. That helps me with my mental health. Like, that's something that you can never get tired of talking about. And so today we'll be talking about it from a different perspective, a perspective that we've never discussed on the pod before. And we're going to include a little bit of faith on it, because that has been a priority for me these past couple months, to make sure that while, yes, we are talking about different ways that we can be better people, we're also incorporating how we can be better believers as well. You know, how we can incorporate God, yes, in our faith talk. We have one of those, you know, every season. Yes, in our faith talk, but more importantly, in every aspect of our lives, right? Because he cares about those things. He cares about the small aspects of your life. He cares about your mental health. He cares about your financial health. He cares about your physical health. He cares about your relationship with your friends, as silly as that might seem, right? He cares that, you know, you tried to dye your hair the other week and it didn't come out the color you wanted, and now you're sad about it. He cares about that kind of stuff. Weird enough, he cares. So I definitely want to make sure that we are taking advantage of the love of God, for real. The love, the grace, the mercy of God, for real. And again, I don't talk about anything that I don't know about. And also, I'm in the classroom just like y'all. So I am not a poster child for anything. Honestly, the topic that we're talking about today is one that I need more than anything. So as I'm talking to you, I'll really be talking to myself. You know, when you point your fingers at somebody and you got like 4 pointing back at you? Yeah, that happens to me a lot. That happens to me a lot. On to introduce today's topic. I know in the beginning of the season, I know that I've told y'all that my inspiration for this season, investing in yourself, for this season's theme, is just the fact that I am young, we are young, right? And now is the time to, you know, take risks, make mistakes, be spontaneous, all of those things, but also the time to acknowledge bad habits and create new ones, right? Create new ones, create better ones, right? And I know for me, just this year, I have identified a lot of areas that I need to work on myself, and areas that I didn't even realize were a problem, or areas that I didn't even realize were hindering me until it was time for me to use them, right? Like, I didn't realize I had an insecurity with money until I became an adult and I had to pay my own bills, or I wanted to do certain things, but I couldn't. And the only thing that was stopping me was the idea that if I pay for this thing, money will be out of my account. I didn't realize that that was an issue for me. I didn't realize that that was an actual problem. What else? What's another example that I've learned this season? Oh, avoidance. I didn't know that I had an avoidance problem until, you know, we talked about it on the pod, how you're supposed to speak up when things go wrong in your friendships, or when you have conflict in your friendships. I didn't realize that that was a problem for me until I started enduring issues with my friends, or going through problems with my friends where I did not want to just go ghost on them. Like, that's childish. That's disrespectful. No, let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. Let's work it out. If I care about our friendship, then I'm not just going to sweep this thing under the rug, right? And I've never been one, not I've never, But I'm not usually one to be afraid of conflict, but even just like voicing my needs and being stern when people can't meet my needs, like that is not something I realized I had as deep of a problem with until it was time for me to really use it. You know, you think you work on something and then something new comes up and God is like, okay, yes, you have worked on it, but now I need you to take it to the next level so I can take you where I really want you to go. And so one thing I really realized is an issue, or still an issue for me, is that I'm restless. Right. And I'm sure you noticed, if this is your first time on the pod, hello. Like, I'm sure you noticed I talk a lot. And when I'm excited, I talk really, really fast. That is a truth about me. But that speed is an aspect in a lot of parts of my life that I did not realize was a problem until I became an adult and realized that I needed to practice patience. Right. And so keeping myself on track, a bad habit that I have is that I'm extremely restless. Right. I could be doing a task, and as soon as that task is done, I'm ready for the next one. I don't want to sit idly. I don't want to sit there and wait. Like if I'm supposed to be folding pages, as soon as I'm done folding pages, I'm ready to put them in envelopes. And I need to have the envelopes right next to me so I don't have to stop and get up and get the envelopes. Like I can be very restless. And on one hand, that is efficient. It's an efficient way to work. It makes sure that I'm prepared. It makes sure that I have all my ducks in a row. And it's good for execution. But on the other hand, it, you know, like I said before, like it causes me to have a lack of patience, and it doesn't leave a lot of like quiet, still room, right? All of that restlessness for me creates anxiety and stress. And so I noticed that I've been enduring that the past couple of days, like the past couple of days. And my mom had to not call me out, but she had to tell me, like, anxiety wants to live in you. Right? Like, I've done a really good job of managing my mental health and working on that part of myself and making sure that I'm just not as anxious as I used to be. And, you know, my mom had to stop and tell me anxiety wants to live inside of you. Like, it wants to live. You ever seen Inside Out? It wants to help. Anxiety wants to be there and think that it's helpful, but you have to manage it. Like, you either give it power or you don't. And how much power it has is dependent on how much power you give it. And when she told me that, it was like, oh man, you're right. Like, I'm not anxious every day, but there are moments where I'm extremely anxious. And those moments happen a lot when I'm restless. And so the other day, yesterday was Sunday, and my Sundays are, if my Mondays aren't my busiest days, then my Sundays are my busiest days. I get up. As soon as I get up, I'm on go. I need to figure out what I'm going to wear for church, which it would be helpful if I started figuring out what I was going to wear to church the day before church, but I don't be doing that. You know, when people like figure out what they're going to wear for the week, I would love to be y'all. My mom tried to make me one of y'all, and y'all, you're better than me. You're better than me. I just don't be doing that. But it's like, I get up, got to figure out what I'm going to wear for church. Me and my mom, we share a bathroom. We both got to get ready for church. You know what I mean? I have to drive 30 minutes to church. Once I get to church, I'm a part of the leadership. So I mean, I got to set up for the kids. I got to practice for choir, for praise team, whatever I'm doing. And then all of the other things, right? You got to greet people, you got to hug people, you got to answer questions, you got to this, you got to that, all the things. And so for me, while it's easy for me to keep up a pace because it's a fast pace, there are a lot of times where I'm completely anxious and completely drained by the end of the day. And so yesterday morning specifically, before I even went to church, I was experiencing really bad anxiety. And I realized, like, hey, you're being anxious for nothing. Like, your brain is telling you that you're late, but you're not late at all. I was doing my hair. I was getting anxious because I wanted to be done. I wanted to be dressed and ready to go. But I still had like 20 minutes before we actually had to leave. So I'm putting unnecessary pressure on myself. So I had to tell myself, like, hey, like, you're anxious for nothing. and what you need. And going from one thing to the next, completing these tasks is not going to help you not be anxious. What you need to do instead is sit down. And so I sat down and I sat down and I sat down with my eyes closed, and I felt better. Like, completing said tasks did not make me feel better. Sitting down and being still made me feel better. And I noticed that helps me in a lot of scenarios. Just slowing down. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. The importance of slowing down. I say it all the time. We live in a hustle culture. I say it all the time. We live in a hustle culture. Like, you need to be doing one thing to the next. And if you did not succumb, if you relate to this message and you don't feel like you've succumbed to hustle culture, then maybe you grew up in an environment like mine where there was always something to do. Like, I couldn't sit down. I couldn't know nothing. There was always something to do. From the moment you woke up to the moment you went to sleep, you should have been doing something, which now that I'm an adult made it really difficult for me to like relax. It made it really difficult for me to relax, and it made it really difficult for me to like celebrate my wins. Right? It made it really difficult for me to like stop and acknowledge, oh yes, I have finished one task and that task went really well, and people benefited from that task, and it was really cool. I enjoyed it, I benefited from it. It was really cool. No, instead it was, that task is done. Show me the next. I got an A on this test. When's the next test? I got an A in this class. Now I got to work on the next class. Not, oh my gosh, I got an A in this class. Thank God. I worked really hard. I'm proud of myself for how hard I worked. No. Like, what's next? We finished, even in mock trial, it was like, we finished one tournament. Cool. What's next? Like, win or lose, we didn't care the outcome. What's next? So it's like being in an environment where you don't take the time to celebrate. Being in an environment where everything is high stress and high pressure and it's go, go, go. It makes it really difficult for you to stop and slow down and smell the roses and sit there with your eyes closed and appreciate the surroundings around you. But let me tell you what, living like that will make you dissociate your way through life. And then you won't have any memories. And I'm sorry to be so grim, but it's true. I had a friend who lived like that, right? They were always on go, just always on go from one thing to the next. And I kept trying to tell them like, hey, and then like they would be doing some really cool and amazing things. And then they would report back to me and was like, and be like, I just don't feel like I'm living. I just don't feel like I've done anything exciting in my life. I don't feel like I've done this. I don't feel like I've done that. I see everybody doing really cool things, but I don't feel like I had that. And we do that a lot, right? I know I still do it. Comparison. Like, I compare my life to other people's. And as many times as they say, don't compare yourself to people on social media because social media isn't real, I still be comparing myself to other people on social media because social media seems real, right? We've gotten in this era where it's like, oh, people just post like their life. Like, they don't have to look like models. They just be posting like their camera dumps. But even those things are aesthetically pleasing on purpose. You know what I mean? Those things are not their real life. Those are just some life highlights. Nobody's posting. I mean, people do post when like people around them die, but it's like nobody's posting that they had a mental breakdown last week and then they went and got mozzarella sticks and then they had another mental breakdown the next week, and then they went to Chili's and got margaritas with the girls, and then they had another break. Like, nobody's doing that. You know what I mean? So it's easy to, and nobody's posting their boring days either. That's that too. People have a lot of boring days. Nobody's posting that either. And so, and so I still fall victim of comparing myself to people that I see on social media. But the truth is, social media isn't real. And so back to this friend would tell me like, I just don't feel like I'm living. Whole time they are living. They're just one thing after the next. Right? And living like that makes sure that you cannot appreciate your, like we called it before, your life resume. all the things that you've done in your life that you can add to your life resume, you wouldn't even be thinking about because you don't think they're significant, because you're not taking the time to celebrate, them, right? And so I just want to sit here and encourage you, like, to slow down. That's it. I want to remind you how important it is for you to slow down, for you to stop and to smell the roses and to celebrate your wins, right? To celebrate random occasions, like you got a new job, you made a new friend, you went out for the first time in a while and you enjoyed yourself. Like, those are all things to be celebrated, and milestones if you let them be, right? I know people who don't celebrate their birthday, and it's one thing for you to just be like, oh yeah, like for me, for my birthday, I didn't want to do a whole lot. Like, me and my friends, we went to an escape room. That was hecka fun. Then we went to dinner, and my mom planned me a dinner, so that was a big surprise, and that was fun. But it was like, I didn't want to like have a huge party. I didn't want to go on a trip. I didn't want to do none of that. That's one thing. But for you to just be like, oh, my birthday is another day. That's how you wake up 45. No shade to nobody who's 45, but that's how you wake up and years have passed and you're like, oh my God, what have I done with my life? You've done a whole lot with your life. You just never stopped to like actually appreciate it. And so the only reason I can really grill like this is because that's exactly how I was growing up. Like, my mom growing up, I grew up in an environment where there was always something to do, which caused me not to celebrate my wins. And then by the time I became an adult and like got to college, and you know, where there's literally always something to do and always a task to be done, my mom really was trying to push me to learn how to celebrate myself. And it seemed pointless sometimes. It was like, oh, I left my room today. Yay. You know, like it seemed pointless sometimes. It seemed like, okay, well, I should have been doing this anyway. Like, okay, I did laundry. So did everybody else. So what? But if you go through life without celebrating yourself, you will think life is pointless. And I'll just be honest, like it's a one-way track to depression. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Not taking the time, like being on go all the time is a one-way track to stress yourself out and to get nothing from it. Nothing. Because you won't celebrate yourself, but then you won't let nobody else celebrate you either. But then all you have to talk about is how stressed you are, how overwhelmed you are, how this, how that, because you haven't taken the time to like actually breathe. So let's do that right now. Actually, everybody just take a deep breath. In for 4. Hold it. Out for 4. Cool. I needed that because I realized how passionately I'm talking, how fast I'm talking. I just want to make sure I'm really, really getting the message out there and that y'all get what I'm saying, right? I don't talk about anything I haven't been through. So I want y'all to know, like, celebrating yourself is a huge part of life. And it's a part of what makes life living. Yeah, and not doing that can come with some real consequences. And so, yeah, like I've talked about, yes, celebrating your birthdays. Yes, celebrating your small wins. But recently being like the past 1 or 2 years, people have come up with the concept of romanticizing your life, which I will be honest, have fallen in love with because it's helped me appreciate the little things in my life more and show more gratitude. Like we talked about last week, a huge part of slowing down is practicing gratitude all the time, just for little random things, right? And for little random things. And at first, right, like it might not seem like a big deal, but the more you put into practice, the more joy you will find in life. For example, the other day, for example, yesterday on Sunday, when I told y'all I was super overwhelmed, I just need to sit down and decompress, close my eyes, all the things, I was still like, okay, how can I recenter myself today, right? How can I slow down my thoughts today? And so when I got in the car, I didn't drive because I was already anxious, and I prefer not to drive when I'm anxious. So I got in the car, and my mom had brought me coffee, and she had bought me a toffee nut latte, which my friend Dorian told me is about to be like out of stock or whatever. Starbucks, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because also, I heard we wasn't supposed to be drinking Starbucks anymore, so I guess I shouldn't care anyway. But she had bought me a toffee nut latte, and those things, if you've never had one, smell so bomb. I'm a really a sucker for like a oaty, nutty, earthy taste of a drink. And so the toffee nut, of course, is made with toffee nut. Duh. And so I just sat there, and my drink wasn't super duper hot, but it smelled really good. And so I took the time to sit there and close my eyes in the car and smell my drink and sip it slowly. And my mom bought me a donut. I took the time to sit down, eat my donut slowly, like really embrace the moment that I was in, right? And it's so many other atmospheres where you can do that, right? Like when you are, say you work from home, you walk in the room, you light a candle, you take the time to really stop and smell your candle. You had a good meal, or you're out to eat, taking the time to stop and really like appealing to your senses, right? Because that's what's going to help us remember certain moments, certain wins, certain aspects of our life, appealing to our senses. So like really taking the time, looking at your food when you eat it, looking at how nice it looks, the colors that are in it, right? Identifying, oh, okay, the shrimp is pink, the purple cabbage is purple, the colors look beautiful together, XYZ, XYZ. Eating slowly. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, your food not gonna go nowhere. Oh my gosh. Eating slowly, taking the time to really like taste everything in your food, right? Like appealing to your senses is what's going to help you slow down. And slowing down is what's going to help you is what's going to help keep you grounded, help keep you present, and being present helps you from being anxious or stressed. And so I feel like that's the perfect opportunity for me to introduce the scriptures that I was thinking about when I first drafted this episode to talk to y'all about right now. Okay, so the first one is Proverbs 19:2. And Proverbs, I believe it's Proverbs 19:2 and Proverbs 19:8 are really special scriptures for me because they kind of put me on the path that I am right now, right? When I first got home, I was really intentional about just pursuing my relationship with God, making sure that I was consulting him before I did certain things, or just looking to him for certain answers, which is something that I need to be more intentional about now. You know, you feel like you get a routine with God, and then you get a little too comfortable, and I don't really want to get too comfortable with God. But I remember I was consulting God about a job that I wanted. I was like, Lord, I want this job. I want to apply for this job. You know, I believe I'm qualified, but you have the final say. If I'm supposed to have the job, let me have the job. If I'm not, then okay. And the scripture that he like, literally, I prayed like, give me something. And so usually sometimes when I pray and I be like, Lord, send me to a scripture, sometimes I don't be feeling like I get nothing. But this time he sent me to scripture 19:2, to Proverbs 19:2. He sent me to Proverbs 19:2 and then Proverbs, I believe it was 19:8. But specifically Proverbs 19:2 says, desire without knowledge is not good. How much more will hasty feet miss the way? Yeah. And when I was thinking about the concept of slowing down, right? I thought about this scripture and I thought, how much more life will you miss trying to hop from one thing to the next? How many more memories will you forget? How many more moments will you dismiss or pass up because your mind is you're not in the present, you're somewhere else, right? So that was one, right? And then I had Ecclesiastes 8:15. I think it's 8:15. Hold on, I'm about to turn to it. Yes. Ecclesiastes 8:15. And y'all, I don't know why it took me so long to find Ecclesiastes previously when it's right behind Proverbs, but we're going to pray about that. So it says, "So I commend the enjoyment of life, because there is nothing better for a person under the sun than to eat and drink and be glad. Then joy will accompany them in their toil and all the days of life God has given them under the sun." And when I was reading the rest of this chapter, or a couple chapters before, to get context, it reminded me that yes, in this life this life is not going to be easy. But the best thing we can do is have faith and be glad and eat and drink and be merry, right? Like that's the best thing we can do. Because what we can't do is stop bad things from happening in life, right? So there's no sense in stressing about them. There's no sense in, like, yes, I'm not telling you not to care about things. I'm not telling you not to pray about things. Yes, pray and care about the things that occur in your life. Be concerned about them, right? But also have faith. And so if there's something that you're anxious about, if there's something that's been stressing you out to the point where you can't even enjoy the current moment, that you can't enjoy the right now, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you're stressing yourself out for no reason. And so that was Proverbs 19:2 and Ecclesiastes 8:15. And I remember I had this really bad when I was in college. Like, I remember telling my mom, like, one of my biggest fears. I have a couple of really big fears. Really big. They could be considered irrational, but I feel like they're rational. Really big rational fears. So I have a fear of going blind. So Lord, if you're listening, which I know you are, I know that you want us to believe. I know that we are supposed to believe that we can do anything with you. But there are some things that I just ask that you don't make me go through, really, truthfully. And so as I say these things, I don't say them to test you. I don't say them to say that my life would be terrible if these things happen to me, because I know that you will be right there with me. But I'm just saying them for an example, and I'm asking that you help me to retain all of my limbs as you see fit. So this is not to test you. This is just used for an example. Amen. Okay, so I have some really big fears. You gotta be like, you gotta pray about that stuff, because God be listening. So I have some really big fears, and one is going blind. Because I already wear glasses, and my prescription is thick, guys. Like, you'll never see me with the cute thin frames, because I genuinely cannot fit them. Like, yeah. So one is going blind. One is losing my teeth. And my mom is like, you can just buy more teeth. No. And the third one is like losing my memory. And so the losing my memory one is not like it's more, I don't know, like, losing my memory one is more like when you see people in old age and there are so many things about their own life that they cannot remember, things that were personal to them that they cannot remember. That kind of stuff genuinely breaks my heart. And so it is important to me that I take the time to embrace certain moments and certain experiences and certain things I like, because when I'm older, I want to be able to reflect on those things, right? Like, I want to be able to remember what my Mima smells like. And I want to be able to remember what a toffee nut latte smells like. Tastes like. And I used to have this really big thing where when I would walk across my college campus, especially when the sky was beautiful, I would walk around very slowly. Like, if I was coming back from somewhere and it was just like, oh, okay, I'm just going back to my dorm or going to my apartment, I'm going to drive slowly. I'm going to walk slowly, because one day this space will be a memory to me. And I don't say this to sound like sad. I'm saying this to be honest. One day this college campus will be a memory to me. And it is, right? I'm no longer a student there. And when that happens, I want to be able to tell my kids what Dillard University looked like when I was young. If anything ever happens and they change anything, I want to be able to notice, right? Certain things like change in my neighborhood and people will be like, oh man, that used to be an XYZ. And I'll be like, okay. And I've lived here my whole life. Well, I've lived here for majority of my life, right? And so it's really important for me to be able to remember certain things, to have certain memories to pass down or to talk about or to be able to describe certain things, because I know I'm going to miss my youth. I know I'm going to miss my youth. I know when I'm 80, I'm going to miss being 30. I know when I'm 80, I'm going to miss what it was like to be 20. And so it benefits me to live a life of enjoyment, not necessarily self-indulgence. Let's be mindful. But to slow down and pay attention to where I am when I walk and the flowers that are nearby and what they smell like. To take a risk and try something that I've never tried before, to smell that thing, to see what it looks like, to enjoy certain colors, to remember things, because one day we just might not remember them. And I think that a part of why people miss their youth so much is because they don't take advantage of it when they have it. And by taking advantage of it, it's like, yes, go on trips, do this, do that, do this, do that. But it's like they're so busy trying to hustle, trying to make a name for themselves, trying to get to the next level, that by the time they get to the next level, they're on to the next thing. On to the next thing. So then by the time they're in old age, the only thing they can remember is how hard they worked. But what does that really get them? Work is not your life, right? Your goals and your dreams are important, yes, but so are the smaller aspects of your life that I really want to encourage us to take advantage of. Really. Yeah. And yeah. And honestly, that's all I mean by slow down. Stop and smell the roses. Stop and enjoy certain memories. Even when it seems like you're doing nothing and that's not productive, enjoy those moments. Enjoy what it feels like to be still, to be silent. Enjoy what silence sounds like near you, right? Like, these are things that you're going to want to remember. And so I just want to make sure that we get that message before it's too late. I want to make sure that I'm extending that message. I'm encouraging us to slow down, to enjoy our lives before we get to a point where we wish we had. For real. So today I want you to celebrate a win. That's your homework. I need to be following up on y'all on homework. And that'll honestly be a good opportunity for me to post on social media, because I know I haven't been posting on social media. Y'all know that gets overwhelming for me, but I'm working on it. Just, be patient with me. And I appreciate the grace and consideration that y'all have already given me on that. But yes, that's your homework. That's the interaction. And that is the interaction that I'm going to post for this week. I want to celebrate your wins. I want you to celebrate your wins. I want to see a picture of the coffee that you're enjoying. I want to see a picture of the walk that you're going on. I want to hear about how you got up 30 minutes before your alarm, and that's something that you don't usually do. That's a big win. I want to hear about how you meal prepped and you made meal prep every week and it's still an accomplishment. You know what I mean? I want to hear about your wins. I want you guys to celebrate yourself. It's so important that we celebrate ourselves and we try to take the time out to slow down, really enjoy, and like they say, romanticize your life, because this is your life, right? It's your life. You want to enjoy it. And if you are not enjoying life right now, you can find little ways to practice gratitude and enjoy your life. So yeah, this week, I want to see what y'all have for me. This week, I want to see how you celebrate your small wins, how you slow down and enjoy your life. And I will make sure to share my own. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next week. Oh, wait, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at WSDTM Pod. WSDTM Pod. I love y'all. Bye.